So this is take 2 on the OUD, Paris Spring Summer 2023. And, oops, this time I'm going to, so the first thing that we're going to do is make sure that we go ahead and get the head. That's not going to be affected by the pose. The neck is where it's at. If we look and see where the weight-bearing leg is, that's going to be on the left, okay? And so right here, on the left, okay, so this means that the dynamic of the pose is going this way, and then the hip and the low hip and the waist are going to go this way, the knees are going to go this way, and the ankles are going to go this way. So over here, as I was saying before, you want to account for these big old shoulder pads, okay, and you've got a garment that is basically a rectangle, and so if we fall down with that rectangle on one side and then have it come up a little bit on the other side, but we have to figure out, we have to account for the way it's being pushed up. So over here it's being pushed up a little bit, which makes it so that it's your basic shape. That's what we're looking for, the basic shape of that body. The bodice of it's called the bodice, but the body of the jacket is going to be one big rectangle that gets pushed up on this side. Okay, and so then we've got these big old shoulder pads. We've got this lapel actually coming down farther. So I'm going to put the hand here, okay, and I see that the hand is coming in where her thumb is right there at the bottom of this jacket. And then if I look at the other side of the jacket, I've got my upraised shoulder leading to this elbow jutting out, and normally that would just go like one like that right there, but we've got a kind of bulky fabric on top of it, so we're going to account for the fabric movement at the elbow. We're going to account for where that fabric is pushed up and out, and then we're going to go back into where the body is. So now we can start to pay attention to the actual interior of this garment. We've got a it's being pushed over a little bit on the side here, but we've got a very deep plunging neckline. And so that gives us a lot of space to view what's going on in here. And so we see that she's got a V-neck top on underneath here. And then here, she's only got one lapel. And her hair covers up what's going on at the neck, so you don't even have to worry about that going out. But here we've got this kind of rounded out lapel. And that will give us the clue over here. And I'm going to make this a little bit narrower, and right here, and so here's a slit pocket, which is just in line with this over here. We've got a button, and so we've got that slit pocket at the same place, but going up a little bit on that side. So what we've got to do here is take a look at some of the drape lines. And you see how that is draping a little bit. This fabric does have body and drape, by the way. And you've got some some places where they're pushing the fabric up, and so you've got a line right here. You don't really have much of a line here on the other side because that part of the jacket is allowed to kind of hang straight down. Now we're going to be looking at the legs. Now, over here is going to be, here's the pit of my neck, and so if I go straight down, the ankle is going to be underneath the pit of the neck, and then, but that's not showing, and we've only got a little bit of shoe showing here. So what I'm going to do here is basically just take a look at what these pants are doing, and I'm going to elongate this. It'll make the whole look a little bit better. So the first thing that I'm going to notice is that this is going to be kind of a flare. Okay, it may start out kind of like this, but when you've got it hanging down here and then it's so long that it hits the floor. That's what produces a trouser break. And so you've got this part where this is pushing up, but at about where you would find the ankle, that's where you would see the trouser break. So it's falling down straight pretty much on this side. And then I'm going to do the interior of the leg, and it's got another leg obscuring this part, but you know that because of the trouser break, it's being pushed up a little bit here. And so the fabric, the drape of the fabric will fall along even from the knee, even though it's probably not even touching the knee. But that's where the fabric starts to feel like it's really draping, is past the knee. Now this other one is going on a different direction. That knee is going to be different, and you know, I can go ahead and I can pretend that my leg is just basically coming down like this, and that the foot would be down here. But I want to keep this a little closer, so I'm going to follow along, and I'm going to pay attention to the negative space between these two legs. Okay, one of them's over here, so you've kind of got a shape like this. Okay, so that gives you a clue as to how it's going to fall down, and you can almost see where that knee is, though you never do see the knee. And then you start to see that the trouser break happens at the same point as it does on the other part. So you've got this extra fabric, this flare, and this is a good exercise because a lot of looks are doing flares these days. And so there we've got our actual our fabric, and we can follow the drape lines coming down a little bit here. I might narrow this a little bit here. I'm going to do a few doctoring up. I'm going to remove my pencil line and add and do it in pigment liner, so then I'll start adding color. But now that I've actually done it, I'm going to pause the video. And now I'm going to start coloring things in. Now before, I just went ahead and used a marker here, and I guess I'm just going to try to figure out what color to use because I may not have that bright pink. So this is where I kind of like to, I can do a little bit of experimenting over on the side. All right, well that looks like it's going to be a winner right there. That's a azalea purple, but let me just try to figure out. Okay, that might not be bad too. So the thing is that I've got this kind of Barbie pink, this vivid pink, as it says, and I'm going to go ahead and use that. And then for my shadows, I'm going to use this slightly darker azalea purple, okay? So you could be doing this in blue for all I care, and just as long as you're showing where the shadows are and stuff like that, that's fine. I'm going to give this thing just one coat of this pink all over. This is the beauty of having these monochromatic looks. I can just go ahead and give her one shot of this Barbie pink. Very popular color in pop culture right now. And I went ahead and I drew in those drape lines with a darker marker, but you don't have to. You could just show what's going on with, and I'm giving her much darker skin than she had, and I'm going to go ahead and give her darker hair as well. So, oops, that isn't very much darker hair. I'll tell you right now. All right, so let's see if this can give us better. Yeah, just a little bit better. You can just color that in. So we've gotten our basic shapes, we've gotten our garment details, and now all we need to do is kind of find those darker values. Now, what I can do with the same marker is I can try to add darker shadows, but it doesn't really do it because you've got this vivid pink, and it isn't making shadows that well. And I want dark shadows here because of the nature of this garment. It's very thick. So I'm going to go ahead and start by using this darker purple Okay, now I can go ahead and give her a few. I'm going to go ahead and hit that in all the places where I see shadow, but I can already tell that I'm going to want an even darker shadow here. So I'm going to be putting shadow everywhere that I see it, underneath the jacket. Let's move this over just a tad. Okay, underneath the armpit, where this garment folds up so nicely. Actually, this marker isn't doing a bad job. So I'm just gonna, but I do want some darker stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and just, I think I could have made her shoulders a little bit boxier there. Not gonna worry about it now. Got that extra dark stuff right around here. And then I'm gonna add these drapery lines that I see going through it. Okay, just see a couple over here. And then I'm gonna get to these pants, and that will really show you how this fabric is moving. So we're just basically studying what's going on with this fabric once it's hung on a body. Because basically, I mean, nowadays you've got so many people like doing alternate kinds of figures, plus size and stuff like that. But when you really start thinking about how these fashion models are just basically walking hangers, then you start to feel like you're getting, you'll conceptualize more what's happening and be able to see that, kind of figure it out for yourself every time you sit down to map out these figures. Because for me, like every single one of these things, it's kind of like a detective show. You figure out the garment proportions, then you figure out, what's happening, what's being pushed up, what's being pulled up, what kind of fabric is this, how much body it has, how much drape it has, and you'll be learning more about body and drape when we get to when you get to textiles. That's always fun. Now, I might want to add a red here, but the red is not going to give me that darker value that I want. So I'm going to see what happens if I use my mulberry colored pencil. That's a little bit darker, but then again, we're seeing some really dark values here with this shadow. So I'm just going to go ahead and either use an indigo blue colored pencil or a black one. I'm going to go for the blue because I always think that black's a little too jarring. We're going to be talking about color theory pretty soon, but I'm going to be putting some real dark value details in these places where this jacket is overlapping. Over here, you can see it coming over here on the leg. You can kind of see it coming on the leg here. This shirt underneath that lapel completely. Right over here by the arm. Under the arm here, I was particularly not having fun with these lighter markers when I was trying to get these very dark values. And over here, and let's scroll down to see what else we got. And we've got a darker value over here. And then we've also got a darker value at the trouser, this trouser break, and also at the side of this. And you can always take the marker that you used before to blend in your colored pencil, okay? So it doesn't look so harsh. And I think that the indigo was a good choice there. And I'm going to go ahead and just kind of blend those in. Give that baby a little bit more, kind of emphasize some of the shadows with the skin tone. And what you're going to do next is, if you remember, go ahead and put the look, OUD, Paris. And it's spring, summer 23. We're a little behind schedule here. And look number 25. And don't forget, 25, not 27. And the thing that you want to do here is you want to, I can see here that she's a little bit crooked. So I'm going to try to correct that, but I've kind of already made a mess there. So anyway, but you know, I know you guys are new at this, so don't give yourself too much of a hard time. So one of the things that I like to talk about now is, you know, you guys should be starting to develop a signature. You know, mine is completely kind of unreadable, but you know, a lot of times if you want to like put your signature on something, add a little bit of flourish. You can do it here. You know, right here, I'm going to just give her a little bit more detail on the hair and some darker value there. And I feel like I've finished her up. And so that will be the end of this lesson. And you guys can do this until the end, and you'll just have two figures to account for two figures.